RX 9070 XT and 9070 are finally here. But what PC build do you need in order to make these things go? We're gonna go through 3 different builds, starting at a $1,200 entry-level 9070 XT gaming PC build, moving on to a $1,500 strong mid-range performer that adds additional CPU power, and then we're gonna go into the ultimate gaming PC for an RX 9070 XT for just $2,000 US. If you get value out of this video, please give it a like, so it makes a huge difference to the channel, and of course subscribe for more cool PC content. Let's jump into it. Let's start off with the under $1,200 RX 9070 XT build. Now, we haven't done any 9070 builds. There's only a $50 difference between those GPUs. So honestly, if you're gonna spend around $1,200, because this is really the base spec to me that you wanna get for a 9070 XT. If you're wondering which model to get, we just released a video where we went through every single model of 9070 XT, including the performance, the overclocked ones, etc. You'll find that link down in the video description. I'll also link it at the end of this video. Let's jump into this build, $1,187.59. This is a really good performer. I'm assuming here we're gonna go with an MSRP RX 9070 XT. I put in the Power Color Reaper. This is a great one, especially if it's the most compact of the GPUs out there, although the Gigabyte Gaming OC is very, very close in terms of its compactness. $599 is what I would expect to buy this at MSRP, basically. But this build is really built around the Ryzen 7600, being $184. That is an insane price. Also, Newegg, by the way, has had like the Ryzen 7600X on for like $229, but then also give you a free SSD, which is like a $60 value, which cuts that thing down to like $169, which is crazy, crazy good. So we're gonna build this around the Ryzen 7600. 7500F probably also okay, but just know that at this CPU level, the 9070 XT, remember, it's gonna perform like a 7900 XTX. We are gonna be CPU bottlenecked in some scenarios on this. $184, we definitely wanna add in an aftermarket cooler with this. I went with the Thermalright Assassin X120. It's $18, it's ARGB, it's perfectly adequate. There's tons of these budget tower air coolers, all around $20 to $30 that you can add in here. The Cooler Master Hyper Halo is one that I really like if you want something more blingy. If you just want something that's kind of more basic, the SE214XT, there's an ARGB model, a non-ARGB for a couple bucks less. For the motherboard, we are going super basic. I love this motherboard. Check out our Best Ryzen Motherboard 2025 video. In fact, I've got this one. I can't wait to do a build with it. I went with the ASRock B850M-X. Now, you could also go, if you need Wi-Fi for $10 more, you can get the Wi-Fi version. It adds an M.2 Wi-Fi key into it. Great motherboard. Insanely good price to performance. The heat sinks on this and the VRMs are perfectly adequate for this or even a 9800X3D. It's got kind of everything, all the basics that you need. The rear panel IO, it's not like fantastic by any stretch of the imagination, only 4 high-speed USB ports, 2 USB 2.0 ports, but it's perfectly serviceable for a budget gaming rig to kind of get you started. And again, you will be able to upgrade this in the future. It's got reinforcement on the main GPU slot, which is 2 thumbs up. Kind of everything you need. 2 DIMM slots on it is really all you need. Remember, 4 sticks of RAM is really hard on Ryzen 7000 and 9000 series CPUs. I only recommend 2. We'll talk more about that in the RAM. Great motherboard for just 110 bucks. For the RAM, I went with the cheapest kit of DDR5 6000 CL30. Right now, Patriot has a great kit on sale for $79. The non-RGB kits range anywhere from like 80 bucks up to about $85. Anything more than that, I wouldn't spend on non-RGB. You can get an ARGB kit for like $93 or $94. If you want to go that route, you can. I'll leave other kits linked down in the video description. This is a good kit. Nothing wrong with it. We want DDR5 6000 CL30. We do not want to exceed 6000 speed. Check out our Best RAM for Gaming 2025 video, which we also just released recently for more information as to why Ryzen 7000, 9000 series CPUs have a rough time in terms of getting the most performance once you go over that kind of 6000 speed limit. And we want to get that nice tight cache latency at CL30. For the drive, we're going really basic here. 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. This is the Gen 3 one. This is the Silicon Power A60. Super budget drive. Does not make any difference for gaming. For other tasks, you might notice it's not as snappy as other drives, but honestly, if you're just gaming and you're looking to kind of eke out an awesome, amazing gaming PC build under $1,200, this is the drive I'd pick up. For the case, Thermaltake View 170. Now this is replaced, so you can't see the price right now. It's $55. $55. This has replaced the Okonos Aqua 3 in my recommendations. For whatever reasons, the Okonos Aqua 3, first of all, it doesn't come with as many fan slots as this does. This has 2 side fans and a rear fan. The Okonos has them on the top, but there's no side fan opportunities there. So you could, on this one, if you wanted to install a liquid cooler in the future, you could install some additional fans for more airflow. I like this because I would like to think that we're looking for a little bit more airflow with the 9070 XT. We want a little bit more cool air on that thing than we would with just like a regular mid-range GPU. I don't really consider the 9070 XT a mid-range. It's more kind of the higher end of the mid-range. So great case, looks amazing. What else do you want for $55? For the power supply, we're just looking to get 750 watts, given that we're using Ryzen 7600. This is super power efficient. Remember, you can get the 7600X as well. Doesn't really change the power profile. I'm looking for one here with 2 EPS power cables. I'm not even sure the motherboard I selected needed those, but I wanted those, and I wanted to make sure we had enough power connectors, obviously, for our GPU. This is a great unit. It's C tier rated. The price is a little high right now. It's usually a little cheaper. I'm not sure why we're seeing a higher price. It's not that much cheaper than the A tier rated ones. If you want to just spend a little bit of extra money, go over that $1,200 budget, you certainly can. So for $1,187.59, you're going to get an amazingly performative gaming PC that will go toe-to-toe with the RTX 5070 Ti for so much less, so much less. It's going to give you amazing frame rates, either at 4K or 1440p, whatever you decide to play. Now let's jump into a $1,500 RX 9070 XT build, and we're going to up the CPU power, we're going to up the features of our motherboard, and we're going to up the model of GPU that we're looking at here. Now, I wasn't quite sure which one to identify because I don't have pricing yet for the RX 9070 XT. Remember, we have a whole video where we went through every single model out there, and I do expect them to sell out pretty rapidly. So just grab the one you can. But here I've saved $650, so $50 over MSRP. This will allow you possibly to get one of the overclocked models, maybe not the max TGP, max overclock one that we identified, but maybe some of the middle overclock ones out there, or just a really nice base spec one that has better build quality. Here I've identified the Sapphire Pulse. So I finished out here at $1,487.91 with $650 reserved for our GPU. Obviously, if you get a cheaper MSRP one, you can throw the money into something else. And for our CPU, what we're going to do here, since we used the Ryzen 7600 in the last build, perfectly adequate CPU, but let's not kid ourselves. It's going to be CPU bottleneck in some scenarios. Now, if you go to 4K, it's going to be CPU bottleneck less. But if you want to play super high frame rates, 1440p, especially a lot of competitive shooters where you're just going to pump tons and tons of frames out, you'll probably want to go stronger on the CPU. We can't quite afford the 9800X3D, which I know where a lot of you want to go. 7800X3D is sold out. So I went with the 9700X because it's down to $289. 7700X is also okay here, but it's only $10 cheaper right now. So I would go with the 9700X. You're going to get 8 cores, really, really strong compute performance. And where you're primarily going to see the uplift here is in the 1% lows. You'll also see in the average frame rate, but in the 1% lows. And again, especially for those of you out there who are playing those more competitive shooter type games. Of course, we're going to need more cooling than we need for the 7600X. I love the id Cooling Frozen A620. This is $29 for a dual tower cooler. This is totally insane. You could also go with the Thermalright Peerless Assassin or Spirit double tower cooler as well. It's a little bit more money. Now there's 2 versions of this, $29 for the all black one. I went that route. Or you could go $39 for the ARGB one. I just like the really clean lines here. This is what really drew me to this particular cooler. And it's a great performer, easily capable of cooling not just this CPU, but even higher core count CPUs. For the motherboard, we're going to move up to a more premium motherboard that we've identified as our best value premium Ryzen motherboard in 2025. Check out our best Ryzen motherboard 2025 video. That's the ASUS TUF Gaming B650 Plus Wi-Fi. It's unseated the Tomahawk. Maybe the Tomahawk will come back down in price. Tomahawk B650's gotten a little overpriced, and some of the B850 motherboards still a little too expensive for me. I like this motherboard. It's got upgraded ALC 1220 audio on it. It's got heat shields over 3 of the M.2s. They're all full bandwidth M.2s as well. It's got pretty good rear panel USB connectivity to it in terms of it's got 4 high-speed USB ports, 4 lower speed USB 2.0 ports, has the full bevy of rear panel audio connectors, Wi-Fi 6 on it. It looks amazing, great VRMs. You can easily put a 9800X3D or whatever Zen 6 X3D is in the future if we've already got 9700X. So why not upgrade next generation? This is a great motherboard for just $169. It's 60 bucks cheaper than it was last year. For the RAM, I just wanted to add some RGB because we want to bling up our build. I know some of you hate it when I say that. I want to make our build look as cool as possible. I like silicon power kits. There's also Team Group T-Force Delta out there for just about the same price. DDR5 6000 CL30. Do not deviate from that. You could take a look at the CL28 stuff. It's not that much more expensive. I think it's like another $20 or $30. I'd probably add some more storage to it, but it's not a bad place to go with this as well. Great modules here. Black RGB, also come in white if you want to do a white build. For the drive, I just went with 2 terabytes of NVMe space, and I went with a slightly faster Gen 4 DRAM-less drive. We'll go DRAM drive on the next one. It's like another $30. You don't really see the performance a lot of times. So I think $93 for this drive. Absolute killer. Get 2 terabytes of space for what you would have spent for 1 terabyte like a year and a half ago. For the case, Thermaltake is just absolutely killing it with its View lineup. So this is the View 270. We just used the 170 in the previous build. That's a micro ATX case. This is a full-size ATX case. Comes with 3 included ARGB fans. You can add some more if you want, but this is plenty, especially with our nice big air cooler in there. Plenty of clearance for that. I absolutely love this case. You could put a 360 millimeter radiator if you want to do that. You know, those Thermaltake 360s are only like $65 for the ARGB one that we've used in previous builds, like our 9600X build guide to it. $65 is totally insane, especially while the Montec XR, which is its primary competition, seems to be out of stock. For the power supply, we still only need about 750 watts. That's insane. 750 watts. I went with an A-tier rated PSU. Again, I said in the last build you could spend $10 extra. This is the PSU I would get right now. The MSI Mag A750GL. It's PCIe 5.1, ATX 3.1. It's got all the power connectors we need, including 2 EPS power cables for the top of our motherboard, because this one does have 2. You can often get by with 1, but let's grab 2. It's a great unit, A-tier rated. What else do you want for $94? All told, for $1,487.91, you're going to get an insanely performative 1440p or 4K destroyer. This thing is going to just nuke games at those frame rates. Again, either 4K, relatively high frame rates, or 1440p, insane frame rates. You're just going to have a lot of fun. Really powerful 8-core CPU on this, so you're going to be able to maybe do a lot more than you could with the Ryzen 7600. You're not going to have that CPU bottleneck. We've added some RGB to the build as well. We added kind of a bigger motherboard as well, ATX size with better features on it. I just really like this build at $1,487. But what if you want to spend just about $2,000 and get the ultimate RX 97 XT gaming PC build? What do? Let's check this out here. I finished down at $1,996.05. And I left us $700. It's $100 more than MSRP for one of the higher end 9070 XTs. Again, we went through every single card in our video. I'll leave it linked down in the video description. I picked out the tough gaming, but you could grab the Tai Chi, you could grab the XFX Mercury one instead, Mercury OC instead. I think they're probably going to be around $700. And that's going to give you better than RTX 5070 Ti performance with that kind of max OC. Of course, we're going to go with the Ryzen 9800X 3D. What were you thinking? We're going to go with a Core Ultra 9 285K? Give me a break. We're going to go with the fastest gaming CPU on the planet, $479, the Ryzen 9800X 3D. Now, I will say, if you're trying to pick this up, it's the #1 bestseller. It sells out on a regular basis. They'll come back into stock for a day or two and it'll sell out. In fact, if you check the total at the end of this segment, you'll notice it's gone up by a couple dollars because it just sold out at Amazon as I was filming this. Now it's available at Newegg, but Newegg is charging shipping for it. Not a big deal when you're paying $479 to pay $10 in shipping. Great CPU. Would I wait for the 9950X 3D or the 9900X 3D? No, I would not. I would grab those if I had to, only because you have to do the CCD switching with those. I think this is the superior gaming product. You could pick up a 7800X 3D if you find one on a decent discount, though they are really, really hard to find right now. But again, as a substitute, possibly you're only going to lose about 8%. Otherwise, just pick this thing up. 2 thumbs up. Now for the cooler, I went with the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 360 millimeter RGB cooler, and of course, I'm doing an all white build here. Now you can of course get all these parts in black. If you don't want to do an all white, or if you want to kind of do a black and white build, I actually think contrast builds where you have some parts are black and some parts are white, they really pop a lot better than just all matte black or all white builds to me. This is an incredible cooler for $110. You can get the black version of it if you want. You do not need a 360 millimeter super high performance cooler like this, a 240 millimeter cooler with the Ryzen 9800 X3D would be perfectly adequate, even one of the more mid-range coolers out there. But for 110 bucks, let's just blow this thing up. Again, we're kind of going a little crazy overkill with all the parts here if you just want to build kind of an ultimate system. I went with the Asus ROG Strix X670E-A gaming Wi-Fi. Now, why did I go X670E here? Check out our Best Ryzen Motherboard 2025 guide. We go through why you want to pick a certain chipset. X670E, really what we're looking for here is PCIe Gen 5 on the main GPU slot. You do not need it for this GPU. You don't need it for any of the GPUs. Maybe you'll need it for a, NVIDIA RTX 7090 one day, but I know some people want to get that to feel like they future-proof. So let's get that. You're going to get 4 M.2s here on this motherboard, all of them with heat sinks on it. You're going to get massively upgraded ALC 1220 audio on it. You're going to get a ton of rear panel USB connectivity. I mean, look at that. I can't even count that. I can't even count that high, but a couple USB-Cs, tons of red, which means USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports on them. Just tons and tons of stuff. The only thing I think the X870 boards have over these and the B850 boards is they are Wi-Fi 7. If that's important to you, maybe go B850 instead. Otherwise, grab these insane deals for $249. For the RAM, I decided to go kind of max. So we went DDR5 6000, CL28. You can get CL26, but the price is kind of crazy pants still. It's like $180 right now. This is only $119 actually with a promo code right now. It's only $109. So it's only about $15 or so dollars, or $10, $15 over what you spend for the 6000 CL30 stuff. Now, in our testing with the 9800 X3D, I found no real difference. But if you just want to feel like you've made sure to get the max everything, this is the RAM I would get. For the drive, we're going to go with a DRAM drive here, 2 terabytes. You can obviously get more if you want, but I like the T-Force G70 Pro. It's a great drive, relatively affordable at $120, and it just checks all the boxes in terms of really strong performance and adding in that DRAM cache. For the case, you can go a lot of different directions. I decided to go with the Antec C5 ARGB in white. Now, this is kind of an expensive case, $121. There are other cases out there, like the Antec C3 is the case I really wanted to go with, sold out right now. If you want to wait around for that case, you certainly can. There's other cases that are very similar, but it does come with just 7 ARGB fans. Look at this thing. It's just going to look amazing. This is also a case that, you could just really showcase your full build. You're going to stick that 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. You can either do it on the side panel on this one because it is set back enough, or you can do it on the top. I would probably go ahead and do it on the top, because I don't want to mess with the pre-installed fans and then have to reinstall it. It's just kind of a waste of time from my perspective, but I know if you're going to get the build perfect, go for it. $121, well, $15 off right now with the promo code. Pretty good at $109. The power supply, I went with the Be Quiet Pure Power 12M. I really like this particular unit. We've used it in a couple of different builds. $120 is great. It's A tier rated. Pretty much any cable you need on this. It's got 2 EPS cables for our motherboard, which is great. Got tons and tons of PCIe cables for our GPU. If you are going to pick up one of the, like the ASRock Taichi or the Sapphire Nitro Plus, those GPUs, those 9070 XTs actually have the 12 volt high power cable on them. So you could use this if you don't want to use the adapter to the 8-pin instead. Great one. The only thing I think I might add to this build is I might add an all white cable extension build. I kind of like black cables in the white build, but if you don't, pick up a cable extension, there's like 30, 40 bucks. I mean, all told, again, the price just went up because of the CPU shipping there, $2,008.46, right around $2,000. You're going to get just an absolute gangbuster PC. This thing is going to look amazing. You're going to have your friends come over. You're going to make them jealous. What else are PCs for, right? Got tons of RGB on this thing. It's just going to look amazing. And this is going to be your battle station for years and years and years to come. You're going to upgrade the CPU to a Zen 6 X3D CPU. You'll be able to upgrade to future GPUs. You're just locked in for a long time. Remember, everything's linked down in the video description. Just in the interest of time, we didn't do monitor deals this month. However, there are some great gaming monitor deals right now. If you didn't check out our best gaming monitor 2025 video, which we just dropped a couple weeks ago, I'll leave a link down in the video description. But basically, you can get 1440p mid-range performance for about $150 to $160 right now, 240 hertz for under $300 LCD, and you can get OLED 1440p 240 hertz 27 inches for just $499 right now. I'll leave all those linked down in the video description. Pick up whichever one best suits you, and we'll catch you on the next one.